So I had a conversation with my sister this morning, and she was telling me that she's going to spend a whole day working on her vision board. So that struck me that a lot of persons have or are yet to work on their vision board, and you don't blame them because this is just January, and there are a lot of things happening, and a lot of persons that want to be in a certain mental state before they get to create their vision board, because it's always advised that before you create your vision board, you are in a cool state of mind where it's easier for you to think, become creative, and try as much as possible to also be realistic. So I decided to share these tips that actually helps me create a very practical vision board each time I'm creating one. So what I do first is I write out the list of things I want to achieve this year or that particular year. So why I actually do this is because it helps me not just go out there and start downloading images, or maybe at a point I get distracted. So writing down everything I want to achieve this year or that particular year makes me become very creative. So at this point you're allowed to be to be outside the world. Write as much as you'd want to, be realistic, imagine, do a whole lot of writing, right? So this year, when I was writing my vision board, I had like 37 things I listed out that was going to include on my vision board, things that I would want to, the goals I would want to accomplish this year. So second thing I do is after writing or listing out all the goals I want to accomplish this year, the next thing I do is to number them. So why do I number them? So before A happens, what have to be in place before I have to achieve A? You understand? So when you're writing out all the things in your head, you don't just write them in order. You just write them as it comes to your head. But then before you do A, what needs to be in place? Then look through your list and say, okay, yeah, I need to do this before for example, I want to get I want to get a house this year, and before I get the house I have to have the money, isn't it? And then before you have the money you have to have a nice paying, a good paying job. Now I have to get myself, okay, fine, so do I need to get a new job this year that will enable me get the money to be able to purchase the house or the property that I listed on my goal, you see? So if on my list there is already get a job, that means that get a job supposed to be the first one, have to be number one. Why buy maybe get a job? If there is savings also in the list, then savings will now be number two, then getting the property will now be number three. So you see, so numbering like that makes you become realistic and also know at what point or what have to go before what. So a lot of the times why or the reasons why we don't get to achieve things we write down on our vision board is because we didn't take this procedure to number them or list them out, knowing at what order or at what point or what you need to do for you to achieve that particular goal you wrote down on a vision board. Now, once I'm done numbering, the next thing I do is to group them. So what works for me well is quarter. I do that quarter, like Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. So what are the goals that I need to get in my Q1? Now, for example, just like the example I stated out earlier, right? Getting a job. So getting a job should be in my Q1, right? Then maybe also in my Q1, I'll also include savings too, or I'll add savings in Q2. Because if you don't have a job yet, before you start saving, there are things you need to actually do once your first salary, second salary comes in, like get some things, pay up some stuff before you actually have a little or left that you have to save. Though people encourage that even as much small as it is, just try to save. But then sometimes being realistic is not always that way. So you see, so once you've numbered, you've written out, like have a box like Q1, Q2, Q3. You can do your own every 2 months, every 1 month, every 6 months. You can do your 6 months, you can do your like 2 months, 4 months, depends on what works for you. Then after grouping them into sections, like I said, mine is quarterly. I do that quarterly. So after grouping that, the next thing I do is to write out actionable plans or actionable tasks I need to do for me to be able to get that done. Now, going back to our example, I said get a job, right? Get a job, save, then get the property. Now, what do I have to do to get a job? I have to work on my resume, right? I have to start applying. Now, these are actionable plans. Now, start applying. How many times should I apply for a job in a day? Or how many jobs should I apply for in a day? Now, these are actionable plans or tasks you have to do, right? For you to be able to achieve getting a job, which is in your Q1. So, list all those things out. What are the actionable plans that you need to do to get all the things you've listed in your Q1 done? Do you understand? Now, once you are done listing them out, now you now start working towards it. Let me give another example. So I want to get a BMW 2020 model black. And all over, you know that you have to get like 35 or 30 million in your account for you to get that model of car. Now let's say that shipping, the registration, everything is going to cost you 40 million. Now, do I have the money to actually afford that? So you see, so for me to do that, I have to actually, do I need to get a job and a side hustle? Should I need to run a business? What are the things I need to get in place for me to be able to have the money to get this car? So all these stuffs are called actionable plans. So once you've written that down, it makes it easier for you not only to create a realistic vision board, but also for you to achieve those goals. So this is what has been working for me. And at the end of the year, you find out that if you take this measure, you have 80, the chances of 80 to 85% chances of actually like working towards your goal and getting almost things in your vision board done. So this has been working for me, and I decided to just share it here. I don't know if this will be helpful to someone, but if you really should apply all this that I just stated, I'm very sure that you are not going to only create a vision board that you would work towards achieving, but a very realistic one. So yeah, thank you.